Um, okay. All right, it is now April 2nd, 2025. It is 11:32 a.m. and I'm going to call the Bylaws and Policies Committee to order. We're going to start with a roll call. Jackie Wilbur,
Jim Holcomb,
Mike Bryan,
Joanna Daniels, and Erica Grammer is absent, and with notification and a valid notification. All right.
absolutely.
All right, then we're going to move on to the invocation. Mike, would you like to pray?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we come to you in Jesus' name. We thank you, Lord, for the time. This wonderful county that we live in, and the libraries and policies and bylaws and things that are structured, the structure of it all. So we just ask you, Lord, to lead us and direct us and give us your wisdom, Lord, in all of this. We just want to glorify you, Lord, and make this be a place that leading us and showing us the direction you want us to go. So we just ask you to give us peace and give us a time of just discussing everything. So we just thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Approval of agenda. I was going to ask to move the unattended children policy to old business. Just we have a lot to discuss today, or we can leave it on to you guys. Do all of you have? I do. If we can leave it on if you guys want to, or I'll move it to old business.
old business for the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Either way, it's fine.
I'd move to do that. Move unattended children policy to old business for the next meeting.
Okay.
For the sake of time.
Sure.
Okay.
So moved by Jim.
Second.
Second by Mike. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstention? Okay. And I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Jim, second by Mike. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstention? No. Okay. Wonderful. We're going to move on to now the recognition of public. And we have 3 people that are signed up to speak. And you will have 3 minutes each. Give me 1 second as I set my timer. And I will call Emily Goddard. We'll have you go ahead and step over to the floor, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Greetings and good afternoon. My name is Emily Goddard. I live at 245C South Booth Road in Portland, Tennessee. I first want to say thank you for serving your communities in our county, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I do find it a little vexing that these meetings are in the middle of the workday, and while I understand this may work best for the committee, it does cause difficulties for those members of the public wishing to speak to you in person. I'm headed back to work right after this. This is my lunchtime. I'm here today to speak about library funding and the various grants organizations. I fully support and recommend that the community libraries, their directors, and their friends groups maintain discretion regarding fundraisers and expenditures of those funds. Who better knows the communities they live in and serve than the people already living and serving there? Centralization of funds and their approval for expenditure removes local control and could remove funds raised by one community and give them to another. This seems counterintuitive to me. It seems to increase bureaucracy and decrease transparency. I believe that this body is supposed to help and support the work of the county's libraries and their directors. And from following activities pretty closely since 2023, it appears that most of what has been done has created more work for and taken agency from the director. And finally, I believe strongly in leadership by example. So if a body exists and creates policies and enacts bylaws, then the members of those organizations should follow the policies set forth because they are private citizens. So as a body, there's power, but as individuals, I don't feel that any member has the authority to kind of carte blanche do what they see fit. And I think, and it's been a while since I've read it, so forgive me, I could be wrong, that as an appointed body of the committee, any policies or things that you all try to enact or set forth still has to go to the full county commission to be approved before. I mean, I said I could be wrong, but I think doesn't it still get voted on by the committee?
Let's try it.
But, no, thank you, I appreciate it, but I just want to make sure that we're being mindful of communities and representation and the people that already live there and work there and serve there and know their communities better than, as best as we try to have a sampling of people around the county. So let's make sure that we're listening to those directors and those friends and letting them decide where their money they raise needs to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlene Miller. Charlene Miller, apologize.
Hi, I'm Charlene Onwell. I live at 143 Golden Circle, Newport, Tennessee. And I understand your position that, first of all, I echo everything that Ms. Goddard said. She did an excellent job summarizing everything. And I have gotten a lot of comments from people who couldn't be here either because they're sick or working, and that they have concerns about the fundraising policy. I have concerns that the library board is accepting a lot of legal responsibility and possible liability that probably should go before the county commission to determine if that's what the library board should be doing, since it would be the county taxpayers who would be paying any lawsuits or captions. Because, I mean, I think there was a fundraising concern, and it did come before the board, and the board just let it go. And so if somebody wanted to sue for wrongful termination or for improper fundraising or any like First Amendment rights or anything, that would come out of our pocket, because as far as I know, the library board doesn't have any funds of its own, even if it's trying to take the funds from the friends of the library. I also have concerns about what controls will be in place about making sure that the Portland Library isn't used to subsidize the Henderson Library. And so I just don't know also if the library board actually has nonprofits are. And so can't wait to hear what your legal counsel has to say about this, and can't wait to hear what the library board says whenever they vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and Mr. Rick Grin.
I'm back 1 week later.
Hello.
Okay, all right. Again, to address the elephant in the room as far as friends are concerned, and that's the fundraising policy. If you reference the fundraising policy that was attached to the agenda on the board's website, it talks about under general guidelines for friends of the library and foundations. Number one, all fundraisers shall be approved by the library board. Well, that's, first first of all, it puts any of the friends who want to do a fundraiser, have to wait whenever your next meeting is, the board meeting, in order to get approval. And that can stifle a lot of growth and funding for the library, We understand that the importance is that you want to review what is going to be fundraising. But I would suggest, if you're going to keep this policy, that you also add on the importance that the fundraisers being held on the grounds of the library, not just in general. Okay. So there's as far as I'm concerned, there's a missing piece in that first statement. The following items are mislabeled as far as misnumbered. But anyway, I'll read this one. All funds raised or donated in accordance with this policy will be used at the discretion of the library board of trustees. Money, and the next one after that, monies raised by the Friends of the Library or the foundation will be for the benefit of the Sumner County Library. The reports on all gifts to the library will be given to the library board within 30 days. Our finances at Friends of the Library in Portland are used for the Portland, Tennessee Library, not Hendersonville, not any of the other libraries. And that, as a 501c3, we are an autonomous organization, and our finances are not meant to be used at the sole discretion of the library board. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And that concludes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just like to point out, there was another member of the public who showed up, got the meeting time split. We spoke, echoed the sentiments of Ms. Goddard. Just wanted to, for those who weren't there at that last meeting, it was before you arrived, but she wasn't able to stay. Just wanted to have that reflected, that at least one more member of the public sentiment has concerns similar to Ms. Goddard.
I don't know that we can include that because, again, the policy is that you have to be there and you have to say it. Otherwise, it would be hearsay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Very
Thank you. I appreciate it for understanding. Okay. All right. So that concludes the recognition of the public. All right. And so now we are going to move on to approval of January 2nd minutes.
We have a copy of that.
I have one copy.
Can I look at, I don't see where you see it, Tim. I'm having a hunt, I don't see where you see that.
Yeah, it was in the emails, everything. Here you go. Here's an extra copy.
Just want to read it real quick and we'll.
Mike, do you need to?
I read it, but I just didn't, my printer wouldn't work, so I couldn't print. Study issue today,
People might make the motion to adjourn.
Sorry about that.
Mike, I did have extras if you want to, and then you can look off of mine. How's that?
Thank you.
For all of them, unless you want to just
I
use
think
that.
I've got it.
Okay.
If not, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Jim. Second by Mike. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? All right. The minutes carried. All right. So now we're going to move on to old business, which is fundraising policy. I will entertain a motion to open this up for discussion.
So moved.
Motion moved by Mike. And a second.
Second.
Second by Jen. All in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? And any abstentions? Okay. So, everyone here has a copy of the rough draft policies. It's been sent to you numerous times. I even printed one out for everybody at one point. And I do believe that in the policies that are created at this time, there is no fundraising policy in effect. But when this was put together for the rough draft policies, and Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong, this was put together by a few people on the board and some other people.
The rough draft?
Yes, rough draft.
April and Ronnie Fox were the ones
Okay.
that collaborated on that.
So I basically took the fundraising policy from this rough draft policies, and I made some, changes, but for the most part it was just basically here. So some of the verbiage of this fundraising policy is because at the time there was a system. So, and we've since, dissolved the system, but as you can see, there was actually a need for a fundraising policy. And I do believe that we do need a fundraising policy because in the culture of everything, legality and everything that we have today, I do believe it is important for us to have a fundraising policy. So with that, we'll open up for discussion on what your thoughts are that needs to change or to stay. One thing that I do want to point out is that I understand us saying on the premises, but I do believe that anything that is even not on the premises, it still holds the name of the library.
Mm-hmm.
So I would caution, and I would think that we would have to approve that too, because
It's representing the.
it's
Sumner County
representing
libraries, right?
the libraries.
Using the name of the library
It's using-
and solicit
Yes,
funds.
Yeah.
correct. And to my knowledge, any entity that has a name always has to give permission for that name to be used. So anyway, so that's just my thoughts on that. But
Yeah.
where, so all right. I also found a fundraising policy off of, I can't find it on here. I know that fundraising was in here somewhere. But anyways, there was another library board that I found a fundraising policy, and I did do some so let me go back to this. The one that was posted was one that I had created, and there's also one in the rough draft policy, but I brought this fundraising policy to you guys before. And the one that was in the rough draft was, the rough draft, or the one rough draft referenced was for the system. Sorry, just wanted to, it's been such a long time since we brought this up. I'm like, it was like months ago. So, yeah.
I think where my concern lay is the wording around the second number 2 of section 1. So it's 1, 2, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, I don't think we have a building campaign.
With that?
But go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. So the second number 2 reads, all funds raised or donated in accordance with this policy will be used at the discretion of the library board of trustees. I think as
Where,
we heard.
hold on, where is that at?
That's the second number 2.
The second number 2.
Second number 2, sorry.
Under general
One.
guidelines for funds.
Which we need to renumber those, obviously.
Yeah.
Can you show me the one that you have?
That's the second number 2, see under Roman
Under
number
section
1.
It's,
Oh, okay, sorry.
yeah, that's okay.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Again, this is a draft.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yes,
Everything's on the table, including the
yes,
numeric system.
yes.
So that, I think, needs to be fleshed out. I have
Totally.
questions
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
And when we say at the discretion of, well, I'll start with, what does that mean? Or what do we envision?
Well, with GCA code, hold on a second. The GCA code that governs the library board. Give me 1 second while I find it.
Well, just as a point of discussion, in my mind, it would not mean that funds raised for the Portland Library can be used at any other library.
That would be number 3, and I want to, yeah, that's also
Yeah.
highlighted for me to
So
address.
that discretion of the library board would leave it pretty wide open.
Right.
So that,
Okay, yeah.
we definitely don't need to have
Yeah,
Friends of the Library in Portland raising money for a different library, like
of
if
course.
the board says, hey, well, let's use part of that for.
Mike,
so
would you like to start with number
obviously
3?
can't do that.
And I think that was taken from, I'm trying to remember all the reasons why I did all this. That I think I took from the old policy that was under a system. And
Just the Sumner
my-
County Library System. and
yeah,
not
so
specific.
I think that, but also a TCA code, it says that the board may receive donations, devices, and bequests to be used by it directly or for library purposes. And so, I'm open to different language, and I think that that we could, so monies raised, all funds raised or donated in accordance with this policy will be used at the discretion of the library board of trustees. So, how is it that you would like to word that? What are your thoughts?
I think before we get to the wording, let's start with number 3, and that's the monies raised by the Friends of the Library or the foundation will be for the benefit of the Friends Library, or I would say a library of their choosing. If a Friends group wants to, be charitable and, help out another library, I'm not terribly concerned with where they spend that money.
Yeah.
And then, again, all that, those things get reported to us, but I think it's important, as this currently reads, it's like we would receive the funds and then disperse them as we see fit. And I don't know if that was the intention of the original author or not, but I think that's bad policy.
Yeah.
So monies raised by the Friends of the Library or the foundation will be for the benefit of the library that they...
Of that Friends Library Association.
All three of you talked at the
Of
same
that
time.
Friends group, Library of Association.
Say what you said again.
Monies raised by the Friends of the Library or the foundation will be for the benefit of the association or the library it's associated with.
I would say the specific library that the Friends Foundation or the Friends of the Library is associated with.
Or we could just say the library of the Friends choosing. Right, and that could be their own group or any other library.
No, I would, so here's where my concern is. In going to numerous of the trainings with Red River Regional, and I am not saying this is happening here in Sumner County.
Sure.
And I think the reason why Cecilia is saying that the Red River Regional is wanting there to be a method of understanding or a mode of understanding, whatever she said, is because there is a disconnect between friends raising money and actually using it, in which, according to what the code of conduct or whatever is from friends, that it's not being used. Because it says in the golden rule of friends, it's supposed to be used how the library director needs. And so what I'm trying to get in here is that it needs to be dispersed for the library to use. Okay? So there isn't a problem now, but there was a problem with one of the friends groups withholding monies from the library in Sumner County and basically saying, no, we're only going to use it for this. Where
The specific purpose?
for a specific purpose, where the library director is saying, I get that, but I need it in this place. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why also the Red River Regional and why they're trying to do a method of understanding, because this is a problem between libraries and friends groups across the state. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so they are, while the friends group is a 501c3 and they are a group that has their own rules and bylaws, they are using the library's name to raise funds.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, trying to figure out a way so that if they're going to be raised, that their understanding is that it needs to be used to fund what the library director needs.
Understood. I think there are two distinctions in the second number 2 and number 3. One is, number 3 is to whom it benefits,
Mm-hmm.
and number 2 is how they are to be used, right? And with that, and sticking only with number 3 for the moment, I think to whom it benefits should be to which library it benefits. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. Should be at the discretion of the Friends group raising the funds. And hear me out. Obviously, Gallatin's going to raise funds for Gallatin, Henderson for Hendersonville. But if I don't know, some tragedy, another car runs into Westmoreland, and the Friends groups want to rally around and have a fundraiser, all the libraries, around rally for Westmoreland. Like, I don't know why we would prevent that.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the benefit clause in number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I would like just the language to reflect that possibility. And if a friend group
Probably never will happen, but.
Well,
But can we put in there that they can rally, but be sure not to neglect the needs of the library?
well, I think it's inherent in their mission that they would be attending to the needs of their library. I think that's in their charter. It's why they exist.
But yeah, that's why they're even there.
Yeah, and how they get used, I think is different. That's, we'll save that here for a second. But I think number 3, to whom it benefits, Library of Sumner County. And again, we don't want a Friends group using the name of the library to raise money for, right-handed gyms, which would be my charity.
Yes.
And also, we probably don't need to say Sumner County Public Library singular, because that's what we became when we were the system.
Mhm.
So that language there needs to be revised to public libraries of Sumner County was
Yeah.
what they were known as
Mhm.
before.
So how would you like it to be?
Or
Money?
strike it all together because Jim wants to put in there the individual, or if you said public libraries of Sumner County, that goes without saying, we understand it's all 5 of them. And they're not under one system, they're under their own system.
Okay, so money raised by the Friends of the Library or the Foundation will be for the benefit of the libraries of Sumner County?
The public libraries of Sumner County.
That's fine, yeah, I like that wording better.
Library.
And if we had another at some point, or we lose a library,
Mhm.
right, this covers it.
If
So,
you understood
just
those
so-
that are operating
You
under that
understand
umbrella.
that's what the intention was there.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
but now I'm understanding what you're
I think
saying.
it's just a wording thing.
Yes, for the public libraries of Sumner County. And then a report on gifts to the library will be given to the library board within 30 days of a fundraiser.
Perfect.
Okay, and then going back to the second two, which is 3, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you say so.
So, all funds raised or donated in accordance with this policy will be used at the discretion of the library board of trustees. So, this is the part where, that comes into play, and when I was at this training, I was in a room of probably 25 board members, and everyone said that it's hard to get the funds to be used what's needed for the libraries. And that's why I think that, and again, not saying that that's happening here in Sumner County, okay? But there's a reason why the mode of understanding or method of understanding is coming into play at the state level, because this isn't something that isn't happening, you know what I mean?
Right.
So this is where, I think the intention of this, go ahead.
Let me ask this, is the intention for the library board to be the holder of funds and
No.
disperser of funds? Okay. I think
No.
that is
That's
a
the
concern.
biggest thing, I think, is
No.
the concerns from me too. We just
Yeah.
don't wanna,
No,
we
no,
don't
no.
wanna do that.
I don't want to be.
We're not
Yeah.
holding it, we're not doing anything.
Right.
We're not holding it up.
Where I think that, where my intention here is that when there's a fundraiser, so say, I've done fundraising, ran a ministry for 15 years. When I did a fundraiser, I said specifically, this money is going to be used for this,
Right.
okay? And I think what would be good is that when there's a fundraiser, this money will be used for,
So people know what they're giving to.
absolutely,
Yeah, I understand.
you know, a specific, this is going to be used for summer reading, prizes. This is what the Friends is going to use it for.
Mhm.
This is the, you know, we're supposed to have long-term, every library has a long-term plan. And according to the Friends, you know, golden rule, it's supposed to get with the director and the board and ask, what do you need?
Right.
So that's where I think this is coming in as saying, hey, we're doing fundraising, and it's to put a wing on the library, to, you know, whatever it is. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know that the wording there conveys that.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
Yeah.
but I just put it in there as a
I think
placeholder.
the rub to the public is probably that this is used at the discretion
Right.
of the library board.
Discretion
So,
Sure,
in other
we
words,
can,
it
we
means
can,
could
we
just
can
take that
strike
money
the
and say,
whole thing. I'm not,
this is what we're gonna do with it,
Again,
which, yeah, that
it was
needs to
just a
be.
placeholder, just
Yeah.
there,
Yeah, so
just
that-
so I can,
I think that needs to be scrapped.
Yeah, if we go back
But
to.
that's fine, I'm just saying, but what wording to now convey what I just said? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that, again, just a placeholder. that doesn't have to be there.
You mentioned about the fact that maybe the director, you said what the director said they needed, you said that a while ago. So could you combine that, like, they're doing it, working with the
In
director?
cooperation with that
In
specific
cooperation with the
library.
director, and then not our discretion, but our support or advisement,
Right.
would that work?
Yeah.
So what about all funds raised or donated in accordance with this? Oh, wait, that would be from the Friends. Okay, hold on a second.
And the Friends group are always in cooperation with the director in that specific library. I think that almost goes without saying, if we could word it that way to make sure that it's,
Yeah,
But that
follows
it is
that,
there.
but we don't have a discretion of the library board trustees, because that just takes it almost out of the hands of both of those and says they can just decide to do whatever they want to with it, and that's not what we need to be doing.
correct. So, so then it almost looks like, so there's two folds here. So there's a donation, a big donation that was given to Hendersonville.
Mhm.
We're now in the process of getting that turned over, and we as a board will then have discretion over that donation on how it's used. Okay? That's my understanding. That's what and I could be wrong, but I'm trying to figure that out. And right now the budget has to get to us, and then we as a board will have to say, giving it to Hendersonville or putting it in this or something like that. So there's two folds here then in this number 3. So
Funds raised are different from funds donated.
correct.
So does that need to be two?
I'm thinking,
Because the
Because-
donations come in different forms, like this was left in a will, so it had to
Yeah,
go
this is
through the county commission. But not every donation is left like that. So, you know, what's the steps if it's a donation that's not left in a will that the county commission had to deal with first? I guess we need, to know how that works.
well, all donations, if they're given, have to go through the county commission. It all has to be accepted in a resolution. I think it's above a certain amount.
Okay.
I'll have to check.
But funds raised is a
Correct.
different animal.
Yes.
So that doesn't apply to the Friends then, even though those funds are raised by donations.
So should we just put funds raised and donated other than through the Friends in accordance with this policy will be used at the discretion of the library board of trustees? Would that suffice it?
It sounds like it would.
What are your thoughts, Jim?
Say that again?
If all funds or donations outside of the Friends of the Library, all funds raised or donated outside of the Friends of the Library in accordance with this policy will be used at the discretion of the Library Board of Trustees.
And that still excludes what the foundation does.
Friends and Foundation.
Yeah,
Okay.
right, it would exclude that. So the
Okay.
Friends could do their thing, and then the other donations outside of the Friends would come through the board.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, Jim?
I think when I go to 1, all fundraisers shall be approved by the library board. I think any petition for a fundraiser would likely have where this money is going to go, right? It's directed fundraising, even if it's to the general fund.
Mm-hmm.
We approve that, hey, that's where this money goes. I think where I get concerned is the discretion of the library board, right? I think what we want is, hey, these funds, whether donated or raised, will be used at the direction of the library director with the approval of the library board of trustees. Right? And so the director speaks to the need, and at the end of the day, we have, the guardianship of the libraries as a board.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would come with our approval, but if the, directors, raise, or, with the Friends is raising money for new carpet, I'm not sure we're getting in the way of that.
We're not gonna stand in the way of that.
Yeah, at their direction, obviously, we're the approving authority.
Sure.
On improvements to the library and all these
Just
things.
signing off on it more
Right.
than anything.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, yeah, so I think discretion is, and that's being the arbiter of that discretion, right? I think direction of the library director and the approval of the library board of trustees makes for a better partnership, and I think is more accurately reflecting the language that, or what we're trying to accomplish.
Sure.
Discretion is a strong word. You start adding that in there, so.
And this is why we have this meeting.
Yeah.
And we can work through it.
Yeah.
Okay, so all funds raised or donated in accordance to this policy will be used at the direction
Of the library director?
I would want to add the word in cooperation with, I think
in accordance
accordance.
with this policy.
I think cooperate, I mean, yeah, that's fine, but I just want the public to know that this is actually being used with the cooperation of the director for these funds to get
Yeah,
used for that
We're
specific library.
finishing that, and this just says all funds raised or donated in accordance with this policy will be used at the discretion of,
Direction.
at the direction, sorry, I even have direction, direction of the library director. And what was it?
And the approval
And the approval?
of the library board of trustees.
Approval of the library board of trustees. And I don't think that, it just, I have to put in accordance with this policy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Will be used at the direction of the library director and the approval of the library board of trustees. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I just want to make sure people know that you know, we're wanting from the board is wanting the friends of the library and the directors to be working together.
Yeah.
We're not making decisions outside of that. I don't want it to be at our discretion. I want it to be
Yeah.
so
And
whatever wording makes that work.
And I, you know, at the meeting last time, I'm coming to find out that the board is actually supposed to be more
Right.
Yeah.
talking with the friends,
Right.
because the friends were supposed to be saying, hey, the libraries need this. And so that's why I'm finding that we're supposed to be more involved than we have been.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, so the Sumner County Libraries encourages fundraising efforts on behalf of the libraries as formally authorized by the Sumner County Library Board trustees. The board acknowledges and appreciates efforts to raise funds on behalf of the library. The Friends of the Sumner County Libraries, a 501c3 organization formed to support the Sumner County Libraries or a foundation associated with the Sumner County Library, is allowed to engage in fundraising activities in the library or on library grounds. So I would think fundraising activities on library grounds. I mean, I don't need that in the library, right? Or on the premises of the library, on library premises?
I think it's fine to keep both of them in there.
Okay.
I don't think
Does that restrict them from fundraising somewhere else?
This is only talking about library, or I think that we do need to address that.
Because, you know, you've got like, Galaxy's Oktoberfest, or the Strawberry Festival, or Hendersonville, where they could take a booth, you know, rent booth space, and do a fundraiser at doing the library, but they're off-site as far as, you know.
Are you talking about the library itself, or the fund? Right. Well, I think that that's where we have to put that in here, because
Okay.
again, if they're going to be representing the library, we have to, you know,
So we could just add that.
Or if they approve their fundraisers, if they just come with us with that idea and we approve that, we understand it's off-site and we understand that, you know, if they brought it to us, you know, do we have to say that it's okay to go off library grounds to raise money for it?
I think if you're using the library name, right? So if you're, you know, having a fundraiser, puppy kicking for literacy in Sumner County libraries, yeah, I wouldn't want that associated with our libraries, right? So we should probably have to say as to how the name and mark and brand are used.
Well, that's going to be, that's covered under number 1, all fundraisers will be approved by the library board.
Right, but I think someone may have the question, well, if it's not on the library grounds, then why do I have to get it?
Correct.
Right, and I think if you're using the mark and the name of the county library.
Yeah. So then, allow to engage in fundraising activities in a library,
Comma,
on library
on
grounds.
library grounds, comma, or off the library or off premises.
Library premises.
Library premises. And we already say associated with the Sumner County Library right before that. So wherever the funds are being raised, in the library, on the library grounds, or off premises.
And I should put with a Sumner County Library, okay, is allowed to engage in fundraising in the library, on library grounds, or off library premises.
Yeah.
Does that
That
sound
covers
good to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. All fundraising activities by the permitted groups named above must comply with applicable library policies. Will be reviewed by the Board of Library Trustees and on a case-by-case basis. This type of fundraising will be done for library purposes only. No other fundraising for civic, political, welfare, youth, or other groups, charities, or causes, including raising money through the sale of goods or food, is permitted in the library or anywhere on library property at any time. So, I'm trying to figure out, so, like, I know that some of the libraries do, like, awarenesses. And they have food trucks or they sell things. So, would that be okay?
In my mind, it would. I mean, it's just raising money. I don't know that that's why I was wondering what the sales of goods for food.
Well, go ahead.
That clause, right, is specifically about other groups, right? So if the Friends wanted to contract Jim's Taco Truck, book it early for Christmas, you know, they could do that to come and sell food on the library premises, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what we're saying is we don't want
anybody just coming in. And what the intent here is that if you come in and use the facilities, you know, come in and rent the room, you can't use it for a fundraiser.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Is that what that's specifically for, that paragraph?
It's for, you can't come in
No
and,
other fundraising outside of the Friends of the Library Group? Is that what?
outside of the foundation or the Friends, correct.
So you,
Maybe no other fundraising group for civic, political, welfare, youth, or other groups. I don't know, just,
okay.
I
Yeah,
want it to be
it's specifically
unclear.
fundraising, not just meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no fundraising. So, you know.
Is that accepted for all, I mean, that's accepted for all county buildings, isn't it? they can meet, but they can't use buildings for fundraising.
That I know of. Yeah, I don't
So
know
that's
of
just
any other.
kind of accepted as far as county buildings go. That the only fundraising that can be done for the library is by the friends or a group that,
Yes.
okay.
Or, you know, or a
Yeah,
group
that's
that
just
who
kind of-
said, hey, you can come in, do a fundraiser, but like we have to approve it. So like, to say, I don't know, there's, you know, there's a group that wants to come in and do a fundraiser for the library and they want to sell things, but all the monies go to the library, then that's fine. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If it's approved by us, you know what I mean, we would have to approve it. But we can't, we don't want someone that's running for mayor or something like that to be able to come in and get it and be able to use it as a fundraiser. Does that make sense?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because that sounds like a whole lot of churches have that policy as well. I mean, it sounds like one of those. The building belongs to the county and, you know, even though, you know.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
want to, you cannot.
Sure. All right, so general guidelines, all fundraisers shall be approved by the library board. Fundraising efforts may include, but are not limited to, an annual campaign and a building campaign. So, and I understand, you know, all fundraisers shall be approved by, I just believe that if it's on premises, that we should have a say-so, you know. All funds raised or donated, we already figured that out. The Friends and the foundation will be responsible for obtaining the necessary raffle or other permits and for reporting income to the IRS and the Tennessee Department of Revenue. Guidelines for fundraising by outside persons and organizations. Outside persons and organizations wishing to raise funds for library purposes may act in the name, may act in the name of the Sumner County Public Library only after the Library Board of Trustees has reviewed and approved the fundraising plan.
There again, that probably needs to say public libraries of Sumner County.
Yes. Public Library of Sumner County. Only, okay. The board will determine the following: specific purpose and scope of the project, starting and end dates of campaign, financial procedures to be followed, advertising and publicity to be utilized, evidence that the library and its personnel and agents will be fully indemnified against loss or damage, certification of the library board trustees will receive a full and complete accounting of the funds raised on behalf immediately upon completion of the fundraising project. The preceding guidelines are in no way intended to limit or preclude from donating funds to the library or soliciting funds for the library on their own initiative or at the request of the library board trustees or its designated agents, as long as the provisions of the policy are satisfied. Any other thoughts, concerns? The only thing is, the only thing that I would say that we would have to create now is a form for them to fill out for fundraising. So, you know, what it specifically is needed on the form, and then just have a form for them to fill out.
And can that be expedited by, then you know they're gonna do the book sale, and, you know, Hendersonville's gonna do their book sale, and just do that on a form, say, these are the, you know, we do one in the spring, one in the fall. Like, do a form that lists their standard stuff that they do every year, and they can bring that to the board once and get everything approved. And then it's the other things that, you know, they think of at their meeting or they come up with, that can be a separate form. Is that addressed in here?
We can do a form for the Friends and a form for outside persons and organizations. Because the outside persons and organizations have to put specific purposes, starting and end dates of the campaign, financial procedures to be followed, advertising, publicity to be utilized. Unless we just keep one,
Yeah,
one
just do
form.
one
Just
form.
do
and
one form.
Be able to have
Okay.
one principal library and one.
yeah, because we need to know for everything, right? Yeah.
And the principal library with
That's where the description, I mean, they're gonna have to describe it.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
just give us a good description.
Okay. So the form would include, organization name. Date of fundraiser. So what I can just do is I can take the 2 and A through F and create a form for that and have that for the board for approval. How does that sound?
Match the policy
Okay.
perfectly. We'll do that.
So, create form to match policy. Okay. 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 Any other discussion on this?
I think the only other thing that I would bring up is, as far as the friends needing to come to us, this form will actually help that, but, so they don't have to come to us and wait on us to meet the next month and say, hey, I can't do anything until they meet in, 60 days from now or a month from now. So that form will eliminate that if they, go ahead and put everything for the year, if they can do that, or even if they're just planning ahead and they know they have everything that they're thinking right now that they're going to do for a fundraiser, then that gets approved and they don't have to come back to us each time and say, hey, what about this? What about this? It'll all be on the form. But anything outside the form that's not planned in advance, that they say, hey, this would be a great idea to have another fundraiser, I think it would be good for us to have like some kind of mechanism in place where they could contact one of us or whatever and say, hey, we've got this fundraiser, it's going to happen on this day. We'd really rather not wait until y'all's next meeting. So is there a way for us to make maybe just a paragraph in the policy to say we can speed that process up for them if there's a fundraiser they need to do that wasn't on the form that they originally filled out? And that way we don't have to.
We can't do that, and we ran into that problem with the book signing policy. We have, as a board, we have to vote. And now at this time, we have 10 meetings a year, and
You can always
call a special. We can call a special call meeting, and
That's
I
what
don't know,
I'm saying. I think it's just
and
so they don't
I
have
know
to
that I've done fundraising. It's hard to put something together in 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, of course.
I think that, again, we can't put that in there because it has to be a board meeting. I mean, now if they come to us and we decide to have a special call meeting, we can do that, but we can't approve anything without a board.
Right.
Does
Yeah,
that
I'm
make
not
sense?
saying we would approve it outside of that. I'm just saying a mechanism for them to be able to say, oh, well, we could say, hey, we've got this fundraiser we want to do that we didn't put on our original form because it just came up, so that they don't have to wait on us to meet again.
But
Do
they
a
can't.
special call meeting.
They can't. We have to do a special call meeting.
That's what I'm saying. So we could do a special call meeting.
Oh, well, but that can happen anytime. They can email us at any time and say,
I think
hey.
just to have it in here so they could know that that's something they can do.
Yeah, but if we don't get a special call meeting, then we don't have enough people to have a special call meeting. I hear where you're coming from, but I don't think that, one, that's really going to rise, and two, like with anything, we have to have a quorum to have enough people for a special call meeting.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's all given.
I think that's all already given, that we can do that.
Okay.
I'm trying to, I don't think we need to put a mechanism in there, because as a chair, we can call, the chair can call a special call meeting anytime, like we did for budget, and like we did for, when Lauren,
Yeah.
left.
I'm just thinking of the friends, trying to get a way for them to say they could, contact us for a special call meeting.
Well, that's why we're being in contact with them more, right?
Yeah.
And, we're reaching out to them more and and I know I've gone to 2 of the meetings. I'm trying to get to all the meetings, and I know that generally, like, when I go to friends meeting, they're planning, like, 3 to 4 months out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's never anything that's, like, it within 30 days. And again, we can always add things to an agenda last
Yeah.
minute, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I don't want to policy it to death, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
for
just
sure.
be like,
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of emergency fundraisers.
yes, yeah, not,
Right.
not a whole lot.
Exactly.
We can always form.
Well, yeah, a special call meeting or, yeah. Okay. So, so I'll entertain a motion, to accept the fundraising policy as written, and here, and
With corrections.
with corrections, with all this stuff, all my notes, and for me to create the form, and it to be presented at the next library board meeting.
So moved.
So moved by Mike. Okay, Mike. Second by Jim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And any abstentions? No? Okay. All right, great. So that has been done. All right. So now we are going to move on to mission statement.
I need to make this, I think we need to take a potty break.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
5 minutes.
I will motion
Motion
recess?
to
Yeah,
take
make
a
a
recess.
A recess by Jim, second by Jackie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to bring us now back into session. All right. So with what Jim, you said that you are needing to be out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have some time
Okay.
constraints here in the
Then I'll entertain a motion to move mission statement to old business.
So moved.
So moved.
I'll
Old
second.
business. By
Take
Mike.
some time.
Second by Jackie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, new business, collection and development policy. So I can give him as well. So we're supposed to review this annually. Obviously, there's been some, I'll entertain a motion to open this up for discussion.
So moved.
So moved by Jim, second by Mike. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So I've gone through this policy because it's now been in effect for almost a year. We're supposed to go through it annually. We went through it briefly because of the whole disposal of things. But I wanted to go through, and after looking at a few other collection policies and some of the things that have come up, you'll see all of my suggestions in green. So under selection process, the library directors will provide a monthly inventory list of newly purchased or to be purchased materials. I want to preface this that, the collection, any problems with the collection, the buck stops with us. That's how it is, okay? And again, the resolution that was brought by some county commissioners saying that we have responsibility to make sure that the libraries are safe and in compliance. So, I've come through and I've kind of changed a few things, and says, and then it says, at the end, it says, the library board shall remove any books from the collection that violate state and local laws. Again, it's our responsibility to do this. So I'm just going to go through the things. The selection of any material of the library's collection does not constitute an endorsement of its contents. The library strives, I took out the library strives to provide a balanced view on all subjects by selecting sources portraying various sides of an issue. That goes without say, you know. Our library materials will, but the most important thing is our library materials will adhere to all city and county ordinances and state and federal laws. Development plan, the primary goal of collection development is to provide needs of community while creating a safe environment for all ages. For it to meet educational, informational, and recreational needs, honestly, that's just, I think it's more the needs of the community. What are they, you know? While creating a safe environment for all ages, I believe that that's important for all public spaces. Next, strives to provide a collection with an emphasis on informational, educational, and factually correct materials. And then I would put down the bottom, it says purchase multiple copies of popular titles where patron demand warrants and his budget allows. You know, I understand that there's popular books that come out, but is it really our responsibility to provide numerous copies of a popular title when people have the ability to go and purchase it? I mean, because then once that, we're not talking about something that is going to be factually true for the rest of your life. This is a popular title that has come out, and in 8 or 9 months, now we're going to be stuck with like 6 or 7 titles of a book that now we're going to have to, that taxpayers have purchased, that now we're going to have to donate or weed out, you know what I mean? So, just my thoughts. So I thought 3 copies and 1 copy of electronic. I mean, to me, I think that that's plenty.
What is the normal policy for something like that?
However many that,
3 copies, or is it
however many they want
like
to
in Red
purchase.
River when we're going through that stuff, they don't have any kind of standard for those kinds of things? Okay.
No, there's no
Just,
standard.
Whatever we
And
think.
as it is right now, like, it's just whatever the director wants to purchase. But we have the ability to put that in there. And I'm just saying that, again, just my thoughts. These are my thoughts. Because we have a fiduciary responsibility, and I'm just kind of like, again, we have to weed at 5% every year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so then we have to buy another 5%. And that's what we have in there. And, you know, authors have this great outlet in libraries. Basically, you know, author can release something, all of a sudden, all the taxpayers are supporting their book. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I can think of examples of what you're saying, and then I go back to, hey, what I live with, and that's Diary of a Wimpy Kid. You know, and those are not only going to be popular for the next 6 months, but they're going to be popular every year for 6 months for the next group of kids who are coming in to read those, right? And then they're going to flow through the whole series. And so if the library wants 5 copies of those, and you know, Gallatin, they are tattered and abused because of the filthy hands that they land in. You know, these young middle-aged boys or middle school boys or elementary kids. You know, so I could see a case for more than 3, but you know. But I'd also say, you know, hey, if somebody wants to donate extra copies, and I've done that to the library as well, donated copies of Wimpy Kid, so that they can have more than just the 3 that we purchased. Well, great. But,
Yeah.
But I think there's a difference between, you know, something that is enduringly popular, like
Sure.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid,
And
and something
it
else.
just appeals to that boy that's a reluctant reader, but suddenly,
Totally. 100%.
suddenly,
Yeah.
you got it
Right.
because, hey, I can identify, I have a connection.
Yeah.
And that's me.
Yeah.
And I thought elementary graphic novels for a long time, because in my I wanted print, I was in print, I wanted imagination. But when I saw the audience that it appealed to, that I was helping a classroom teacher get this job.
Yeah.
Eyes in print with a picture that helped him understand it. It was different.
And arguing myself out of my own position, I think there are now 11 or 12 of the
Something
Wimpy
like
Kid.
that.
So
There's a lot
that's
of them.
36 copies of Wimpy Kid. And Greg Heffley's life does not need to be chronicled in order for you to understand what he's going through. So, his perpetual,
But like you say, if we say 3 and they will accept donations,
yeah, sure.
then they can put that in the free section if
And-
the kids want to take the tattered ones.
Yep.
And at 3, they've still got 36
Right.
Yep.
copies of diary.
Yeah.
And again, that with their weeding, they can reorder another one
Yeah.
so that it's not
Yeah,
tattered
if
and
they
can.
weed it, if they
Exactly.
weed it because it's
Yep.
been worn, you can
I think
replace
this
that.
is reasonable.
Yeah.
How you have it worded
Thank you.
in that way.
All right, so under tools, the only thing I added was library directors shall not reference the American Library Association or any resources created by the American Library Association as a tool for selecting materials. We are not a member of the ALA. Secretary Trey Hargett has said we are not a member of the ALA. I don't believe that the ALA really is something that is along the community standards of Sumner County, so I just don't feel that what's needed. All right, so policy for protecting children. I put in there, I guess curating is supposed to be a capital letter, but I don't think so, but Grammarly and Word kept wanting me to make it a capital, so I don't know. So I think it's just a lowercase. So, okay, so I'm going to put that as lowercase, because I'm just like,
I think it's because but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because the rest of them were lowercase.
Yeah.
Then when you hit return, it did not, but sometimes
yeah.
self-correct us.
Yeah. So, in curating its collection, the Sumner County Public Library takes seriously its obligation to not include sex acts, sexually explicit, or graphic materials within the children and young adult sections, or any area that a minor has access to, or in areas that are not under the supervision of a library employee. The library shall adhere to TCA 3917-914. This is to ensure that children cannot obtain these materials while in the library without the express permission of a parent or legal guardian that is on the premises of the library. If a parent or guardian wishes to allow a minor to access such material, then the materials must be first checked out by the parent or guardian. Give me 1 second while I close this door.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. There has been, over the last year, all this confusion, which I'm not sure why there's confusion, because the TCA code specifically states how to handle this. That's why it's referenced. But this is not, when we created this policy, and Jim, I know you were there, and Mike, I know you weren't there, this is not about checking out of materials.
Yeah.
This is about having access
Materials that are accessible.
in the library, you know what I mean? And, we don't want them to have access to go get a book, go read it, and put it back. You know what I mean? That was the whole reasoning behind this. So,
It's not that it's not accessible to the public, it's that it's not accessible to minors.
to minors.
or children. That's the
Exactly. And again, a parent or legal guardian, if they want to give it to their child,
That's all they want.
all they want, they can check it out.
It's not about book banning.
Nope. This is
It's
about curating
accessibility.
accessibility.
Right. That
Okay.
needs to be
Yeah.
drilled home, I think.
Okay, on the next one, at the bottom it says the library director shall ensure that no materials containing anything in the paragraph above is within reach of a minor and shall take all necessary steps to ensure that no minors will have access to any such materials in any section of the library. And that is just me taking off of reasonable steps are taken to prevent minors from pursuing the material. That's just
With belief and reason.
exactly. And then number 7, this was already in there. I don't know why it made the whole thing green, but I did take out. The sole exception of this policy is that the library directors may curate materials of the type identified in the above paragraph and description 1 through 6 for bona fide research by adults. The library director shall ensure that all materials are kept in such a way as to prevent access by children. That was already in there, I just took out the one part of it.
Okay.
Transgender and gender confusing materials. There shall be no materials in the collection of Sumner County libraries that make mention of pertaining, promoting, or subjecting a minor to transgender or gender confusion ideology. If it is an adult, then that's fine. But if it has anything that's aimed towards a child, as we know, executive order by President Trump, there's a man, boy, there's actually, and I forgot to bring it, but there's actually, I think he said something about funding could not go to public things, entities that promoted transgenderism. So I want to make sure that we're in compliance with that as well. Again, this is just mention of pertaining, promoting, or subjecting a minor to transgender or gender confusion ideology.
How are we making the differentiation between books on, say, gender dysphoria for adults and those geared towards minors? Are we going on the recommended reading age of the book, or?
So no. So what it is if it involves a minor at all.
Oh, okay. Depiction of a minor.
Depiction of a minor, anything. If it is an adult saying that they want to be this, then that's an adult. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But this cannot be a depiction of a minor.
But if,
Go ahead.
but if somebody put out a graphic novel for young adults, which are still minors, with adults undergoing sex change, would that would also be permitted, or that would be excluded?
We could put in here that any of this subject cannot be in anywhere in children's or young adults as well.
I think that's,
Okay. So we'd like to, any materials containing, can't spell today. Transgender or gender confusion ideology shall not be in children or young adult sections, and shall any being children or young adult sections. Should we put materials containing transgender or gender confusion ideology shall be shelved in compliance with the protecting protection, like that.
The materials shall be shelved?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we say there shall be no materials accessible to minors in the collection of Sumner County libraries, that makes sense. Would that not cover that? Even though we've already said a minute ago.
Well, it doesn't address
Where it's shelved.
where it's shelved.
Yeah.
It needs.
We want it to be in an area such as the protection of children. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You look like you're thinking part of it. So materials containing gender confusion ideology shall not be in children's or young adult section.
Shall be shelved.
Materials. I want to put it though, but materials concerning adults with transgender and gender confusion identity shall be shelved in accordance to That's okay, shall be in accordance to, or shall be, I just want to say the protection, what is it, the policy for protecting children and harm.
Children's level internet protection.
Well, I don't know if we should,
You don't even want to quote the law?
I don't think we, because the law doesn't apply to transgender. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Should we just say, shall be shelved?
So the TCA doesn't mention transgender
Mm-mm.
subject?
So should we just say, shall be shelved out of reach of minors and in an area supervised by employees?
With however we've worded this, in those few paragraphs before that, probably just repeat
Yeah,
that.
make it consistent.
Just make it
Yeah,
consistent.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Should we
make it consistent with
Just
the
make it
wording,
consistent
so-
with that. Materials,
Are kept in such a way to prevent access by children. If we put like the paragraph before says.
because I want you to be able to be here. So what I'll do is I'll make it congruent with the
what
policy.
you just said.
Yeah, materials are to be, okay, all right. Going to duplicates, I just put in there, in the interest of fiscal responsibility, no more than 3 physical and 1 copies of one, I meant to put 1 electronic copy of a popular title shall be purchased. Guest requests for materials with sexually explicit materials involving minors, promotion of transgender or gender confusion in minors shall not be fulfilled. And then current standards for libraries, I just formally said assess for relevance and currency in a minimum of every 2 years. We're actually supposed to be doing this yearly, so I don't know how every 2 years got in there. So should we put a minimum in currency every year, annually? Yeah. Annually.
A minimum of annually.
Okay. Because I was like, how did that happen?
I'm not seeing it. Where we at? Okay.
It's under page 8.
That's the green section.
Assess for relevance and currency annually. It's under reading.
Yeah, I see relevance, I don't see,
Oh, no, and currency, I don't know how minimum
current 2 years.
Annually.
and currency annually. Not for a minimum of 2 years, because we're supposed to be doing it annually. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see currency, I think, money.
Okay.
I would just say relevance and strike all the rest of that and just write annually after relevance, or relevance.
Annually.
Resources are assessed for relevance annually.
Okay.
Gets all that.
All right, and then I know he did a hard stop at 115. Censorship and access. I added, it is the duty of the library board to ensure that the Sumner County libraries are in compliance with local and state laws pertaining to the development of the collection of the libraries. For this reason, each board member has the duty to report to the library director and the full board if any materials are found in violation of the collection and development policy. In the event of a perceived violation, a board member will notate the titles, report them to the director, and notify the full board. The director will pull the materials for the board to review. The materials will then come before the full board for review at the next regularly scheduled meeting. So I added that, and then I took a whole lot out for the next part. So libraries materials reconsideration. If you go down, any of the above individuals may bring concerns about the inclusion of the library materials to the library director. A director's first course of action is to try to resolve the patron's concerns verbally. The director shall report any verbal challenges to the library board. If the patron is not satisfied, the patron who requests the reconsideration of the library board has the right to put his or her request in writing by completing the signing the request for reconsideration library materials form. The library staff will supply the form to the patron. Come to find out, in Portland. It was not supplied. The patron actually had to pay to get it printed. A copy of the completed form will be given to the director and to the person completing the form. The director will pull the materials from the shelf and notify the board within 24 hours. It is the director's responsibility to communicate with the library staff which materials have been challenged. I took out all the rest of it and said the library board will review the citizen's request and the materials for the reconsideration at its next regular meeting. And considering the request, the citizen making the request for the reconsideration shall have the right to address the board and make their concerns with the material and why it does not conform to the library collection policy. The library board will then determine whether the challenged material is in compliance with the stated policies of the Sumner County Public Library. On the basis of this determination, the board shall vote on how to proceed with the challenged material. The director will communicate the board's decision and the reason for it in writing via email provided by the patron to the patron who initiated the request for reconsideration. The director shall include the library board in the communication with the patron. I took all of the whole, because again, the buck stops with us. This is similar to the school board challenged books. I believe that it just needs to come to us. We just need to say yes or no. And, you know, I know that in Rutherford County, I reach out to them. This is how they do theirs. It doesn't even go through the library director. It comes directly to the board. The board says yes or no. Done. No process. Such as, you know, I know that there's been books in reconsideration since February 19th in Portland. We're now into April. We still don't have like a yes or no on any of those books. And I think that this way it just comes to us and we make the decision since the buck stops with us anyways. And thing is how, again, we are to make sure that our libraries are safe and in compliance with state law. There's no reason to drag it out. That's my thought. And then
all the rest of this strike is all of that. Okay.
And the appeals and all that stuff. And then I just simply changed on the form. It said patron information. I just said patron name. I don't know why the information is on there. And then if the objection, it's just a grammatical error. And then have you read or viewed the material? I just scratched that out because, of course, they've read or viewed the material. Why would they be bringing it to it? You know what I mean? Because it's going to say, what are your concerns? So they're going to have to tell us what their concerns are. It's just redundant. So, so those are my thoughts.
Okay.
If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to accept this as noted and amended to go onto the board. And of course, I'll make the changes as we said and go onto the board for final approval.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Jim. Second by Mike. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right. And since I know that you are leaving, do y'all want to move the rest to old business? And then we can,
So I'm quoting, I'm just saying.
yes.
I make a motion we move the rest to all business.
Okay.
And talk about it as a full meeting.
And we'll have Erica back too, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Should move all to old business. I have by Mike. Second by Jim. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right. And so then I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
Mike got it. All right. Second by Jim. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One more cookie.
One more cookie. All right. Thank you all.